Today we are going to explain a French, mystery thriller movie called, Lost Bullet. Spoilers ahead, watch out and take care. In a garage, Leno is tinkering with cars and appears to be attempting to modify the car's front end. Leno picks up his brother on the way and they both stop in front of a jewelry store. Leno is considering smashing the car to the jewelry store, and his brother stops him once but then agrees with him. Leno now accelerates his car towards the shop, and upon impact, he discovers that the car brakes are not working. The car is out of control, but it comes to a stop on the opposite side of the shop. Leno realizes that he has been trapped while his brother flees after hearing the police sirens. Leno is apprehended by the police. After some time in jail, Leno discovers that a police officer Shiraz was trying to meet him with some paperwork. Outside, Shiraz tells his wife that he is there to get Leno because he is skilled at modifying cars and can use him to stop drug trafficking. Shiraz meets Leno alone and informs him that he works in the anti-drug department and that their police cars are very slow, allowing the enemy to easily escape. Leno agrees to assist because he sees Shiraz as a good man who wishes to save human lives. Shiraz tells Leno to get ready in the morning and departs. After a few days, police received information about a BMW car that appears to be trafficking drugs. Shiraz and his team attempts to follow the BMW, while Shiraz informs his team to come from the opposite side of the road. Suddenly, firing begins while Shiraz observes the BMW approaching at high speed, but a police car appears from the other side and destroys the car. While his team is celebrating their victory, Shiraz discovers a new technology in the car and takes it with him. After returning to the garage, Leno attempts to converse with the team, but it appears that the team doesn't get along with him. Leno then talks to Shiraz and agrees to let him spend the night in the garage. He appears to enjoy his work. At night, Leno begins working on a car that appears to be transforming into a monster. In the morning, Leno emerges from the garage, and Shiraz appears, scaring him with his horn. Shiraz laughs and invites Leno to accompany him on a long ride. During the ride, Shiraz informs Leno that he is working on his case and will find a way for Leno to get a job at the police station. Shiraz comes to a halt and shows Leno a new garage, which gets him excited. Shiraz also shows Leno a paper from which he can obtain a temporary bail and tells him that he believes in second chances. Shiraz shows Leno the equipment he took from the BMW and tells him that he has seen it before in Leno's car. Shiraz attempts to capture the big guy with the assistance of Leno. He agrees while receiving a promise, and they both go to a secret garage. Shiraz gives Leno 2 minutes to figure it out and remains outside. Leno goes inside and discovers his brother working with gangsters. Leno tries to surprise his brother, but the gangster appears. Leno tries to talk to his brother alone, but the gangster starts pointing a gun at Leno, at which point Shiraz appears and stops them. Shiraz notices his teammates Marco and Areski and orders Marco to take the gang while he takes Leno and his brother. They both happily gets into the car when Areski shoots Shiraz on the gangster's orders. Leno is taken aback when he sees Areski and Marco involved. He flees as his brother warns him to flee or be killed. Leno fires a shot and flees outside as Marco pursues him. He manages to escape by scaling a wall. Leno now enters a store and makes a phone call to Julia, Shiraz's assistant, but the police arrived and arrests him. The police believes that Leno has murdered Shiraz. Marco and Areski, on the other hand, sets fire to the car in order to destroy the evidence. The police took Leno into an inspection room, where Areski arrives to question him. He turns off the cameras and walks over to Leno, who is furious and wants to kill him. Areski tries to tell Leno a plan to get him away from it, but Leno doesn't want injustice because Areski was Shiraz's killer. Areski leaves, giving Leno 30 minutes to consider it. As Leno begins to untie him from the police handcuffs, the security guard notices him and laughs as he believes that he will not be able to escape. Suddenly, Leno discovers a way to flee. The guard panics and runs inside, while Leno flees the table and beats the guard. Leno also took the eyes and dominated everyone in them. He then finds a way out, but when a police officer appears inside, Leno begins beating him while a prisoner looks on. He is also injured during the fight, but he doesn't stop and continues to beat the remaining police officer inside while the prisoner cheers him up. On the other hand, when the police chief arrives and sees Shiraz's burned body and his car, she is furious, and Areski tries to calm her down. Julia, too, overcomes with emotion as she gazes at Shiraz's lifeless body. Marco now goes to the side to smoke a cigarette, but Areski throws it away. He becomes enraged, while Areski tells him to be calm and make no mistakes, and that they can now double their profit as Shiraz is no longer in the way. While Areski confirms that he has burned all evidence, Marco remains terrified. Julia returns to the garage, and the driver brings Shiraz's burned car for the examination of any evidence. The driver becomes aware of a noise and enters a room, which Leno locks from the outside. Leno is present to demonstrate his innocence to Julia. Julia calmly hears him but then begins beating him up, indicating that she doesn't trust him. They both fight, and Leno manages to handcuff Julia. He then sees Shiraz's car and realizes it is not his car. Julia notices him as well, while Leno goes out to find Shiraz's original car. He then arrives at the location and tries to sneak inside the garage, where the gangsters were just leaving. He tries to take a gun from the car to kill them but is shocked to see no ammo in any gun. He realizes that he is trapped, and the gangster pulls out his shotgun on Leno, causing him to come to a halt. On the other hand, Marco receives a phone call from the gangster, who informs him that Leno was apprehended in the garage. The gangster now orders the killing of Leno while his brother is free to go. Leno's brother can't watch this and puts the car in reverse gear to kill both of the gangsters in order to save his brother Leno. Leno was also surprised to see that his brother has saved him. Leno becomes enraged while attempting to persuade his brother, because he is working for gangsters, but cools down when his brother tells him he knows where they have hidden Shiraz' car. When Areski returns to the garage and discovers that Leno and his brother have escaped, he brutally murders the gangsters while telling him that he has stolen Shiraz's car and drove it to the garage far away. Marco realizes that they are in danger, so he kills the gangster and rushes to the garage. Julia also discovers that the car in the garage is not Shiraz's car, and she attempts to inform his team that Marco and Areski might also be the victims. Leno now calls Julia and requests her to meet him alone. Julia concurs because she believes Leno is not the victim. On the way, Julia is pursued by Areski's men. Julia is secretly taken to a location where Leno meets Julia. She is now being told by Leno's brother that he witnessed everything. Leno politely agrees to have Julia on his side so that he can justify everything after gathering evidence. Leno becomes aware that Julia is being pursued and attempts to flee, while Julia punctures the tires of the car to give Leno some time to flee. Leno and his brother now move to the secret garage, and Leno discovers that his brother is just there to steal the hidden cash. Suddenly, a shot is fired, and Leno's brother is injured. Leno notices Marco, and they both start a fight. Leno was injured, and Marco was about to kill him, when suddenly Leno gets pushed back. Leno prepares to fire the gun while his brother outside hears the shot. Leno comes out and finds his brother dead. He screams but there was nothing he can do. Leno tries to pick up his brother but notices something in his hands. He suspiciously removes the grass and sees a car beneath it. He has finally found Shiraz's car, and it looks like that his brother made it for Leno at his last breaths. Leno now sits in the car and observes that everything is as it should be. Marco was in handcuffs inside the house, hearing Shiraz's car as if Leno didn't murder him. Leno now calls Julia to deliver the evidence, but Areski has apprehended Julia and attended the call. Areski smiles and tells Leno that he cannot have Shiraz's car as he will be in prison in a short time. Areski is stunned when Leno pulls up the horn. Areski smashes his phone in anger and orders his team to find Leno. Leno now goes to his garage and begins modifying the front of his car as he knows that Areski will try to stop him. Overnight, Leno works to repair a large holding in front of Shiraz's car. He fills up his car with petrol and decides to drive to the police station. Areski is informed that Leno is approaching the road in Shiraz's car, and he prepares himself. After a while, Leno notices that he is being pursued by a car that he has modified, so he hides and begins moving his car from behind to destroy it. He destroys the rear of the police car and takes the car from behind. He has worked it so that he is not being shot from the front, so the police car is now protecting him. Areski, on the other hand, prepares his team with guns in hand, but then hears his team telling him not to shoot as their car is in the front. Areski and his team have no choice but to shoot, so Leno speeds up his car, smashes the cop cars, and drives away. Areski notices his own police officer is injured but ignores them and speeds up to find Leno. On the other hand, when the police officer discovers Leno bringing Shiraz's car as evidence, she hands over the keys to Julia and then leaves to assist Leno. Areski becomes enraged and begins destroying his own police car while on the road. Areski approaches Leno and attempts to wreck the car. Julia also approaches while Leno stops the car. Julia manages to push Areski's car and destroy it, but while doing so, she also causes an accident. Leno comes to a halt and begins beating the injured Areski, and Julia was also hurt. Shiraz's car suddenly caught on fire. Leno realizes that this is the only evidence available to bring Shiraz to justice, so he moves the burning car. Julia, on the other hand, manages to escape and attempts to apprehend Areski, but she lacks the necessary firearms to do so. Leno managed to get inside the garage, and the police officer in charge puts out the fire on the car. While the in-charge notices Leno's injuries, he gets out of the car safe. Shiraz's car is now closely scrutinizing Areski, who is attempting to flee with cash. Finally, the police find the lost bullet that killed Shiraz. After finishing the paperwork, Leno and Julia leaves, paying their respects to Shiraz by placing flowers on his car. Subscribe to see more videos like this, turn on notifications, and leave a like to help the channel out. Thank you for watching.